call the meeting to order. And does anybody have any agenda revisions and or additions? Right off the bat, I'd like to welcome our newest member, Matt Kimmer. Welcome to the Planning Commission. Good to see Gib again. Yay. And we're missing two of our members. Aaron Heidemann has something with the Oregon Wheat League, could not be here tonight. And then Donald Jamison, he's a new member, but I don't know where he is. So we didn't hear from him.
Yeah.
So
Next time I'll confirm that he got it via email. I haven't heard from him at all, so.
yeah. Okay, any agenda revisions and or additions? Hearing none, let's move right into our public hearing. So I call this public hearing of the Gilliam County Planning Commission to order. Today's date is September 23rd, 2025. My name is Marta Michaelo, and I am the chairperson of the Gilliam County Planning Commission. The commission's job is to conduct public hearings for the purpose of making land use decisions and or recommendations according to the ordinances and laws of Gilliam County and the state of Oregon. The commission may not vary from the adopted laws and ordinances. If a law or ordinance is unfair or unworkable, there is a process to amend the ordinances. All county land use ordinances must meet minimum standards of the enabling state statutes and administrative rules. The application being heard tonight is being weighed against the law and ordinance in effect at the time the application was filed. A copy of the public hearing and order of proceedings, the agenda for tonight's hearing, and copies of the proposed amendment are available online at Gilliam County Planning Commission's webpage, or you can request a copy from planning staff by sending an email to
planning@gilliamcounty.org.gov.
planning@gilliamcounty.org.gov. If you wish to testify on the hearing item tonight, either in favor, in opposition, or neutral, you will have an opportunity to do so. We will explain how that process will go when we get to that point in the hearing. Briefly, each item will begin with the staff report and any additional comments since the staff report was written. All staff reports are available to the public 7 days prior to the hearing and are automatically made part of the record. After staff, any other county, state, or federal agency comments will be presented. Testimony from all concerned shall address the applicable law and criteria. The applicant and those in support of the application will speak first, followed by those who are neutral and or have questions. Those who are in opposition will testify after those in support or neutral. The applicant is given a rebuttal opportunity to address anything that has come up during the hearing. Prior to the close of the hearing, the applicant may choose to waive their right to a written final argument. If the applicant does not choose to waive the right, they have 7 days from the close of the hearing to submit final written argument. A reminder for everyone that testimony needs to address the applicable law and criteria. Failure to provide testimony at this hearing will preclude a person from participating on an appeal to the county court and the Land Use Board of Appeals after that. Please do not repeat testimony. All persons testifying must be recognized by the chair and or staff in this case. Please speak clearly and slowly and state your name and address for the record. If you're speaking on behalf of someone else or a group, please state who you are representing. Notice of decision will be mailed to all those who have identified themselves with their name and address.
So
now I will turn this over to staff.
Yes. So welcome. Tonight's public hearing is for planning file number CUP 2025-08, which is an application from the city of Arlington for a conditional use permit to allow the construction of a storage reservoir and booster pump system at the site as part of a municipal water system. So for those of you that have seen staff reports before, I hope this is similar to what you're used to seeing. So the request tonight is the development and associated improvements to the city of Arlington municipal water system, including a booster pump station and a 500,000 gallon reservoir. The location of this property is generally east of Highway 19 along Airport Road and is zone limited industrial. This application, the applicable criteria on here is shown on your preliminary findings and staff report as bold print, and then they've been responded to not in bold. So applicable to this would be Article 7 and 11. A conditional use permitted is, this is being authorized as a utility facility. Pretty straightforward, really. The applicant is required to obtain any necessary permits required for sewage or solid waste disposal and comply with any other state or federal regulations, including those for air quality if required. They would also need to obtain any necessary access permits. As I understand, those would be through the city of Arlington in that area. Those are the first couple conditions of approval. A lot of the criteria identified here are not applicable to this proposal. It's not a transportation system. There's no need for any diking, screening, or fencing other than what is outlined as part of the landscaping. And this is not an alteration of a previously approved permit. So we did receive no written comments during the comment period. Agencies were notified, adjoining landowners were notified, and we received no written comments. As I mentioned, the landscaping is a requirement of a utility facility. And the application indicates that the project will be completely fenced in with a 6-foot chain link fence and some barbed wire on top. The landscaping is not specifically identified. So one of the conditions of approval recommended would be that the applicant show a more detailed plan showing the landscaping. The code doesn't really say what landscaping is required, just that it is required.
Right, and I sort of questioned that.
Yeah.
Was like, they're gonna be up on the hillside up here.
Yeah, so.
So, I mean, can we just say as simple as, put a couple fancy rocks and we're good? I mean,
I think that's at your discretion. The condition literally says the use shall be fenced and provided with landscaping, so it's not really clear what.
Answer to what landscaping is.
Right, yeah, so.
I, yeah, I mean, it's sort of like that.
Yeah.
I thought that was really odd.
I did too,
I mean,
when I
could
read
see
that.
it in the middle of a city.
Yeah.
Like Portland, that, if you're gonna put something in there, but.
I did too, and it's not really clear, so. I think as long as they show us what their plan is, they have provided a general site plan that kind of shows where the access and any permeable surfaces would be. So I think something that just has a little bit more detail with that at your discretion would probably be acceptable.
Well, and Brad might be able to walk us through that.
Yeah.
I mean, can you bring that, are we at a point where you want to bring that map up now, or should we go through this first and then bring?
Yeah, and then I can bring it up, because it's on the website, so.
Okay.
So there is a time limit. This permit, if approved, would be valid for 2 years with the opportunity of an extension for up to 1 additional year. And that timeline is until they obtain building permits or commence construction. So as long as they do that within 2 years, or they can request an extension.
Did it used to be 5 years and now it's 2 years? I mean, in general, we talked a lot about, we had a lot of things that were 5 years, so.
I'm not really sure.
That could have been just a Gilliam County thing.
Yeah, section 7.050 just outlines that it needs to be 2 years with a 1-year extension.
Okay.
One interesting thing would be, state law is a little bit different in the exclusive farm use zone. It's a 2-year unless it's a dwelling authorization. So that one would be a 4-year with a 2-year extension. So some of those are a little bit different than what state law outlines for exclusive farm use. So potentially a conversation if we wanted to have that sort of text amendment. So conditions may be imposed as outlined here. I did list on page 6 of the findings, some conditions identified as obtaining any necessary permits prior to construction, for access. And then any permits required for sewage or just solid waste disposal, which would, generally be through the, environmental quality, at Umatilla County. Authorization is required to comply with any state, federal, or local regulations as appropriate. And then provide a more detailed site plan showing the landscaping, so.
And the
those-
public hearing date is wrong.
Oh, forgive me, it is. Well, I guess I will amend that. Okay. Now, let me see, Les, hold on just a moment. You're the only one joining us online, so I'm gonna see if I can screen share our site plan here.
Yeah, if it helps you, I'm looking at the one that's on the planning department's website.
Perfect. That's the one that I was gonna pull up.
Okay, oh, you might go ahead and pull it up for the others that want to see it probably.
Yeah. All right, so this one, these were provided by the applicant as part of their application. So generally, will my cursor show up there? Yes, okay, so generally this would be the reservoir. It does show where their access point is here, including the drive that comes in, the booster pump station, which would be situated about 50 feet from the fence. The fence is highlighted in yellow here, which would be the site boundary.
Where is the actual gravel pit from there, Brad?
Just up the hill.
Yep.
It's above it?
Yeah, it's about it.
Doesn't really show. There was,
Oh, yeah,
yeah,
okay,
so
right,
it's generally right about
right,
here, yeah.
in there, okay.
Yep.
If you drive by the ODOT maintenance station, it's just a little bit past that on the left, on both sides of the road.
Is where the reservoir is gonna go.
Yeah,
And then, this shows the building and the elevations of the building, so, and then the 500,000 gallon reservoir.
And the building will house the pumps, obviously.
yes.
And you have to have the septic and solid waste disposal because there's gonna be a bathroom in there?
So, the building will be connected to the municipal water system.
So that's why it has to have that.
Gonna hold something down if you have to, I don't know, but it's very limited. And then the building will have floor drains. Anytime you have floor drains, you have to connect the sewer
Oh,
system.
I see. Okay, I
But
see,
there really isn't anything going on.
Yeah,
But we will have a connection to the sewer system just in case,
just in case,
yeah, you need it or something.
yeah.
You know, like for instance, if you have pipe leakage, it would give it a place to go until you stop the leak, things like that.
Mhm.
And it's just raw river water, so very clean.
Okay, but so. Is there gonna be somebody on site there? It's just to house it, so somebody will just swoop in, make sure it's running, swoop out?
Yeah, there'll be a telemetry system very similar to what the city already has at each well site and the booster pump site. Nowadays, municipalities are electing to put cameras in so they can probably watch the inside of the building. But the telemetry system will communicate with the city if there's an issue, there's multiple different alarms.
Mhm.
And then they will probably check it once or twice a day. It's automated, but most public works departments run around and check their facilities at least once or twice a day. It's not open to the public, so the only folks, entering the site will be the city's public works crew.
Okay,
so I think that would conclude the staff report and then any attachments. Do you guys have any other questions?
so how big is that building?
Oh,
Dimensions are highlighted on the bottom. 40 by 40.
yeah.
So
Oh, yeah, 44,
Yep, 44
Yeah.
and 8 inches by 40.
40.
And then the reservoir itself is 65 foot in diameter. And it identifies that it's 24 foot high, but it does look like it has a domed roof.
Yes.
So I indicated in the staff report that it would probably be no more than 30 feet, 30 to 35 feet overall height.
really good guess. It's about 6 to 7 more. So you're right.
Do you have any questions? Anybody have any? This is probably pretty familiar for Gib. Is this when we asked last?
Yep.
Yeah.
So I think first what we would do is we would ask if there's any testimony
Oh.
in support of the application.
Yeah, so, do we have any testimony, in support of the application?
As the applicant, would I say anything?
You can, yes.
You can, if you want.
Oh, okay.
Just go ahead and start with your name and address for the record.
Okay, I'm Brad Beard, the city of Arlington's city engineer, the designer of this project. I live at 1607 Conklin Lane in Cole, Oregon. Yeah, and I prepared the application. First off, I apologize for making you have your first meeting.
No,
Good,
thank
we
you.
wanted to have one. We've been needing one.
Yeah, and then I just wanted to say that I think you all know this is part of the city's Columbia River Water System improvements project. So this portion is a portion of a much larger project that involves some withdrawal wells down at the Ports Peninsula, pipeline all the way through town to this site. And then more booster pumps from here all the way up to the mesa to serve the data center. And then a return pipe, or not a return pipe, but also a pipe from the reservoir down to the golf course. The city's gonna use Columbia River water to irrigate the golf course, take the pressure off the salt aquifer, which is very beneficial. So there's some bigger permitting events happening. We have to get a construction, 1200C construction stormwater permit with DEQ that'll cover this site, but it'll also cover the whole project. And we're getting multiple other permits in other locations. So there's a full host of permits for the entire project that will encompass and cover this site. And then, yeah, the city secured approval to withdraw their full Columbia River permit of 3,662 gallons a minute of water. So they'll have the ability to pump all of that up to the mesa. It's not gonna get utilized, full time. It'd be lucky if it runs 10 to 15% of the time, but there will be times when it does run at that rate in the summer, the hottest days. Both the data center and then the city will be utilizing the water, but it'll also be available for other potential customers or things of that nature, however the city chooses to exercise use of it within the limitations of municipal. It's all gonna be raw Columbia River water, so it really can't be used for drinking water unless it's treated, but it's again for cooling computers and irrigating the golf course. Which is really beneficial for the city to take pressure off their basalt aquifer that they're pumping right now for the golf course.
What was the gallons per minute again? 3,000?
3,662. It was permit granted in 1970, as a consolation prize for having your town moved.
Nice.
Yeah.
Mean they did something nice for us?
Yeah.
Good.
So you've had that permit since, I think it was March 1970. And it is approved up to 1,200 gallons a minute, but we just completed a conservation plan and got the rest of it approved. And that, anticipation for this project. So it's part of all that.
Mhm.
So yeah, it'll be a great system. There's 6 very large pumps in that building. So it'll be pretty impressive. But yeah, any questions on the system or project or anything of that nature? Well, I did want to mention there's already water and sewer running right by the site, going up to and coming back from the Mesa Industrial Park. So, the means to connect to it are straight into the right of way. If you pull that map back up, you'll notice that an orange right of way, I highlighted orange, it's really wide. And the reason that is we just went through a partition process to separate the sites up there for AWS purchase and also created a big right of way for a full blown, 28-foot diameter paved road with 2 travel lanes. And, if they ever do improve for a secondary ore, which might become the primary access to whatever is chosen to do, but we created the right of way. It had been abandoned, so it was gone, actually. we recreated it as part of that partition to set up a wide right of way to ensure we could build that full road. So that's why it looks kind of weird. It's awfully big, and then there's a little tiny road in the middle, but
Yeah.
that's what it's for, so it's there and ready to go, should they build another access into the airport.
Do you know where the truck fill station is going at this time?
It is going right below it. I mean,
Okay.
yeah, if you see the pipe on the left-hand side that crosses, it'll just be right adjacent to the road there. It's just off the figure, but
Yeah, that's what it's,
yeah.
so it's going to be right there in the right way.
Yeah, yeah, pretty much. And that, and truck fill station he's mentioning is we're gonna have an overhead truck fill station, so the city can utilize that water or sell the water for construction, and then all the projects in the area can have water, including the AWS's project and any project that needs it. We'll have to operate that one that's down there in the bay now, and
And it will be on the east side of the tracks,
yeah, everything is up there.
but I mean the truck fill station,
It's,
okay.
it's right below the site there. It's not on that map.
Okay, so it's just right over here.
Yeah, yeah, and then the trucks can swing right in on the right of way
Mhm.
and get water. They'll be able to drive up to there, and then we'll finish the road out to Railroad eventually, which will require an access permit too, but that would allow them not to have to turn around,
Right,
have a loop.
Yeah.
To be very handy. Because right now, a lot of construction is pulling off of hydrants that it's not the best to pull off of the city's municipal hydrants.
Yeah.
right,
And plus, they'll be able to use Columbia River water for
Right, that
irrigation,
seems-
or, I'm sorry, for construction purposes versus
yeah,
water that's been treated, chlorinated,
right,
yeah.
yeah, there's a lot of trucks out on, out by Shuttler Station there. Somebody's pulling water out of there.
Yeah,
Maybe for visiting kind of use,
yeah, yeah, they just have to coordinate with the city and purchase the water. They have a real reasonable bulk water rate.
As long as it's non-potable.
Yeah.
And when do you foresee this beginning construction?
Well, that's a good question. Amazon has paid for the design and all the permitting work, and they were ready to, and then they're gonna pay for construction. In their overall schedule, this was their first act to get this water system in place. And they're really struggling, as I understand it, and I'm speaking for them now, but what I've heard is they're struggling on getting their power arrangements. They were gonna start this, we were gonna be done this winter and bid it and start construction in the spring of 26, so months, but I think they're gonna delay it a year. Depending on how their power situation can get, try to see if they can back that down, because it's so far out, we're gonna delay a little bit. So that was one thing I did want to mention when you mentioned 2 years for the permit and 1 year for renewal. And that sounds like that's when you start or get your permits, which, you know, if they decide to start by 27, we'll be fine, and we can extend it to 28. I don't think they'll delay past that, but you know, it's hard to know. I mean, they can stop and never do it.
Right, yeah,
But the current plan was to start in a few months, but now it's at least a year delay. So that if you choose to approve tonight, it'll probably still work just fine for their timeline.
okay. Okay, anybody else have any questions for Brad?
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
If there's no one else in support, we'll go on to neutral.
Yeah, so, oh, we also have another, I have a,
Perfect.
another support.
Jed Crowder with Port of Arlington, 100 Port Island Way. Port Road, Port Island Road, Franklin. Arlington. I testify in support of the proposal, the water system expansion here in Arlington. That will be a benefit for economic development and for more availability for water service throughout the town. So testify in favor of it. Thanks.
Thank you. Do we have any other report? Okay, hearing none, we'll move on to anybody who wants to testify in a neutral fashion.
That sounds like me, maybe.
Okay, go ahead, Les Ruart, state your name and address, please.
Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
For the record, my name is Les Ruark. I live at 12888 Lower Rock Creek Lane out at Rock Creek in Arlington, or in Gilliam County. And I take no position either way on the actual CUP request, but I did have a question that I wanted to kind of make sure to get asked on the record tonight. And it appears that Brad, from what I was listening to what he had to say, probably already answered it. But I wanted to make sure, and I guess this is mostly a question for staff at this point, but back in February, I was looking into the city's so-called water management and conservation plan. And at that point, it was under revision and it hadn't been recently revised, but needed to be. It sounds from Brad's testimony like that's since then has occurred. And I wanted to make sure it has. And I also wanted to ask if that doesn't need to be made a part of the record for this CUP. And if it did, apparently hasn't been, to my knowledge, at this point. And then finally, I'd like to ask if there is that plan that's been revised and signed off on by the Water Resources Department since February when I was asking about it, and it hadn't been. Cannot the applicant provide a copy of that for to the commission for their information and also for the availability that it then becomes as the public record, and those of us that are interested can easily enough access it by that means. Again, it seems like there's a lot of good intent here, and I'm glad to see it in terms of the economic development, but I would like to remain neutral on the actual permit at this stage. Thank you.
Thank you.
And
So,
Stephanie, or Chairman, could you make sure to answer my questions here tonight?
Yes, I guess what I heard you say is you're concerned, you wanted to make sure that the water usage has been upped, and Brad did mention that. Do you want to cover that real quick again?
Yeah. Yeah, and I could submit something. I came prepared to do so.
So this portion would then be any rebuttal testimony.
Oh, is there any rebuttal to this testimony?
Oh, no, but I can answer the question.
Right,
Yeah.
perfect. Thank you.
No problem.
Okay, go ahead, Brad.
Okay, yeah, the conservation plan was required by the Oregon Water Resources Department to get the city's remaining permit capacity green lit, is the words that they use. Only 1,200 of the 3,662 gallons a minute were green lit, meaning the city had to do this plan to get the rest of it approved. And in the plan, you have to show a work plan of things you're gonna do. The city has a whole list of things like fully metering, new water meters, conservation efforts and things of that nature. You have to document what the full use of the water is. So we had to get a documentation of AWS's demands and put that in the plan and get writing from them that this is our water use, or projected water use. Show the golf course use, and just document the OWRD's satisfaction that you really need the water, because they don't like the green light water unless you actually need it. And so that was done through multiple iterations on the conservation plan that Mr. Rourke was mentioning. So OWRD then they did a final order, which is their action that says everything, and I brought a copy of it. I can leave it with you. There's 8 pages here. The final order is online. You can go to the Oregon Water Resources Department website, find the municipal water system. You can dig in there and find Arlington, and then you can actually look on their supply sources, and then there are documents like this. It's a little bit of a hunt, but you can find it, but now you don't have to. You can have this copy. Yeah, and in the back, in the final findings is the part where it fully approves. Well, I guess that's the cover letter, that should be here. But in the back is the part that fully approves the green lights the water. They have to have it built by June of 2030. You know, time's of the essence, but
Mhm.
they would have gotten there, and still will. So there's schedules, you know, you're approved for full use, here's some things you gotta do, so. So yeah, here's the documentation needed that you can attach that shows the city has full authority to use all 3,660 feet gallons a minute.
Thank you, and we'll attach that
You guys look at it, yeah.
to the record.
Sure.
And Les, I will email you a copy when I'm in the office.
Did you get that, Les?
Sounds good
Stephanie
to
will
me.
email you. What?
I'll make sure to include those coupons for the Klondike ice cream bars.
Okay, so you'll get a copy of that,
Okay.
and it'll be officially put into the record. Thank you,
You
Brad.
bet.
And I think just a little bit of housekeeping, we did skip past any testimony in opposition.
Right, well, we haven't got, oh, right, we were supposed to do opposition.
Yeah.
Sorry.
But I think we can go back and reflect that because there's nobody else here, so.
Okay, so, yeah, just as a note for the record, we did go out of order. We skipped the opposition, opportunity for somebody to, speak in opposition. However, we don't have anybody, here who wants to do that, so we move forward, so.
Okay.
Okay, Les, are you feeling okay? Did you get your questions answered?
Yes, I did. The only,
Okay.
to be honest with you and the commission, I'm just a bit disappointed that I didn't receive that word earlier from Oregon Water Resources Department, given that I and a number of others, particularly the ones that at that point that were accredited members of the press and media, had been looking into that. And I guess that's just the way it happens sometimes. But I'm glad to know that the city finally did get the revisions put forth to the department and that they were received and acted on. Thank you.
Yeah, they were successful. Thank you. Okay,
Okay, excellent. Okay, so that got us through all of our testimony. And so after deliberations, what we will do is close the public testimony.
we need to close that now,
Yep.
right?
Mhm.
Okay, so we will close the public testimony. We can deliberate amongst ourselves.
And do you guys normally do that by motion, closing the testimony? Do you ask for a
We-
motion?
Haven't, but we haven't in the past, but we
Okay.
can. I would take a motion, whatever is official.
Yeah,
I shall.
Okay.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion to officially close the public testimony and a second, so all in favor? Aye. Okay, pass now. We move into deliberation. I think it's a good thing.
Yeah.
It's positive in all aspects.
It's all the farms.
Um,
Things are landscaping. Yeah, I think there's a whole definition needed there as to what landscaping
Right.
is.
right, I don't disagree with that, so,
That's something we want to might look in outside of this because frankly, people conserve water, so don't. Worthless landscaping.
I wouldn't think that we would have to plant trees or anything like that.
Well,
It would just be like gravel.
I'd like to see a more firm definition of that versus the open-ended. Part we have
Just-
now,
Yeah,
you know, a firm definition that we don't need trees and, you know, apartments with.
Right.
it's done in a cleanliest manner, meaning it was landscape with rock or something, you know, just as a
Prevent,
fire break type thing.
Right, fire
You know.
mitigation
Yeah.
and a blowing sand.
Right.
We've got some sources of rock, so it should be good there.
Yeah, not too far at all.
Yeah, we don't want the planning commission and find there's.
Right.
Right, so what do we do with that then? Do we,
Well,
so I think it's open-ended for you.
I mean, could we just state what we think it needs to be?
Yeah, you can
Yeah.
ask for a detailed site plan that shows how they're going to prevent and mitigate dust.
fire mitigation and dirt blowing.
Is there, yeah, rock and.
You make sure that they're not, maintaining that.
And we're glad to do that when we get to that point.
Yeah,
Problem.
yeah, I think it really is about, those are probably the three things: weed abatement,
Fire suppression.
fires, and then, dirt blowing.
Yeah.
Would be the primary things that we'd like to see in your landscaping plan.
Sure.
Well,
So, let me see. if I
and that's
can-
just us stating what we'd like, right? So, and that's just, then you're just gonna provide, so. And you could do that anytime, Brad. Jack, quit talking to us. You can do that anytime, right?
Oh, yeah, we're approaching 90% design, but you can add a sheet in there for how things society, and the key is just to get enough ground cover of some type that it doesn't grow weeds.
Right, exactly.
And
Yeah.
show, which would probably be a lot of rock cover, we did do any landscaping, we try to use, can't remember the right buzzword, but, obviously low water use. But on that
Xeriscape?
flip side, you got access to an awful lot of water on that site.
Right.
So
Well,
it would be hard to.
this is, I'd rather see zero scape or even.
Yeah.
Replanting.
Yeah. And what you said, especially like the word escaping, but yeah, we'll come up with something that fits the motif.
So I quickly wrote something out and tell me if you would like me to amend it. So showing the landscaping, provide a more detailed site plan showing the landscaping with defensible space, fire suppression, mitigating, blowing dirt, and weed mitigation.
Mhm.
Okay. All right,
Yeah, I think those are the primary things we're
okay.
concerned with. Since we have dirt, a lot of dirt here, so. Okay, so then do we make a motion?
Yeah, so if you're ready to entertain a motion, then.
Yeah.
And next time I will print something that kind of gives you some suggested motions.
Right,
But I think if you were to approve, you would do as amended, including your comments around, landscaping.
25 natural release to the environment. On the five, the fire suppression, we leave it, and that's good.
Second.
okay, motion was made to approve the CUP 2025-08 with the amended language regarding landscaping. All in favor? Aye. Carries.
Cool.
Okay, now we can move on to other business, right?
Correct.
And you guys can hang out or drive home to LeGrand.
I think one of you is going to lock up behind me, right?
Oh,
That's what I heard.
must be dead. Right on. I don't think,
Thank you, everybody, for talking. Appreciate it.
thanks for coming down.
Yeah.
You're going all the way home?
Yeah,
Okay,
road warrior, love
I
it.
know. Geez Louise. Okay, let's move on. We did our public hearing, old business, new business, planning update.
So there is little and a lot to update. So over the last few months since I've seen, well, I haven't seen one of you at all, but since I've seen the others of you in the room, planning has been just kind of rolling along. We've had a lot of, the word's escaping me, meteorological towers that have come through. Those are processed administratively. I think right now I currently have application for 8 of them on my desk. And I think that 6 have already been approved. I might be wrong about that number. There might have been 7 that have been approved earlier this year. Those are really keeping me pretty busy, for the most part. I did just submit information to Portland State University last month regarding population questionnaire. So I don't know if you guys are aware, but every year Portland State University sends out a questionnaire asking how many new houses have been brought in how many houses have been destroyed or demolished. So rewind the year before, when there was the fire down near Lone Rock, we had to report on that. This year, we didn't have much to report by way of that, as far as removing houses. But as far as I could tell, in the unincorporated areas, we had only approved one new dwelling, so. Doesn't sound like a whole lot, but in the grand scheme of things, that's a lot for the unincorporated area of Gilliam County, so. I anticipate that we might see a lot more of that. Next month, I'm sure a lot of you are probably really wondering what's happening with the conditional use permit for waste management. You guys will be seeing that next month in front of you. We've had several meetings with them and working through some of the various things, so I hope to have you all here next month for that. And I can't think of anything else major to update you on. Is there anything that you're curious about? Anything that you've heard? Because sometimes I hear something and then I'm like, I know nothing about that. So.
I haven't really heard too much.
Okay.
I think that primarily what I've heard is going on within the city of Arlington.
Yeah.
Gibb, of course, would know about what was going on within the city of Condon. Yeah, well, that's the same here, but I haven't heard too much. I do, when they do the repower and all that, do they have to come through the planning commission for when they do the repower projects?
Generally, no. Everything that's come through, we have had a couple of repowers. They have been they've operated under state permit at the Energy Facility Siting Council. So they've gone through the whole process to get their repower through there. The only permits that they have pursued through the county have been for their associated laydown yards, or there is talk about an operation and maintenance building. They originally came in with a proposal, but it sounds like they're going to maybe rethink where that will go. So I anticipate that they'll be submitting another application for that. But those have all been authorized. All the ones that I've spoken to have been authorized under a state permit. So it's a shall. We have 4 weeks to approve whatever the state has approved. So those don't come back here. So if there were a local permit to come through, then they may. We're still trying to evaluate at the staff level which energy permits were permitted locally versus which ones were permitted at the state. One thing I can comment on is a couple of months ago, we received a inquiry, well, a couple months ago was probably more like 6 months ago now, an inquiry from Pebble Springs, wind project that was approved originally in 2006. It had a requirement for an annual report to be submitted. However, it was really unclear how that annual report was supposed to be submitted or to what extent what they were supposed to be reporting on. So we're trying to evaluate how many of those permits had that same or similar reporting requirement, and then trying to figure out what we should be doing with that. The gentleman that reached out to us from that project specifically, he was new and said, I can't find any evidence that we've ever done it. And I worked with Anya over at the courthouse, and she couldn't find anything in their records that they had ever done it. Not to say that it doesn't exist and it never happened. None of us know where it's at. So we're trying to figure out what we need to do from there. So that might be something that comes back for discussion topic in the future for you guys as well. So
Is that an active site?
It is.
A site that didn't get built?
no, it was built and operating, and it sounds like they may be in the process of evaluating whether or not it's going to repower or get expanded. So we'll see.
2006.
2006, yeah.
Kind of beat the 15-year deadline.
Yeah, and
Pebble Springs, what was that called?
Pebble Springs, so it's,
Avangrid? Was that
it is an Avangrid,
Pebble Springs? Okay, it must be, well, it's clearly one of the first ones.
Yeah, operational January 2009.
yeah,
Yeah.
so.
Hmm.
Well, you remember the Pebble Springs nuclear plant was gonna be right up here, so maybe it's one of these close ones.
It's gotta be one of this, the closest one. Well, that's GE though, over on that side. Auburn Grid's over here.
Yeah, it's one of those ones up top. Yeah,
Up here?
you couldn't hear it, was it?
Yeah, that's GE out there though. That wasn't Auburn Grid unless they bought it out there now, maybe,
Yeah, it's the one kind of overlooking Wilbur.
way out there.
Yeah,
Okay, that's wild.
Yeah. Some of that we're just still kind of learning too, you know, not being here and trying to figure out where some of these projects are, where they stand and those sorts of things as well. One of the big topics that's coming up is about around solar. So at the state level, there are some new solar facility siting requirements. I will be requesting some agenda time between now and the end of the year. So the Department of Land Conservation and Development, one of our local representatives here, we're going to request some agenda time to do a presentation at county court around those new siting requirements. And then figuring out whether or not we're going to opt out of what the state's requiring or not, so. if
So you have, so at a county level, you have the capability of opting out of what the state requires?
In this case, yes. But it's a really unique legislation that passed, so,
Well, I don't think it's a bad idea. I think it would be great if at the county levels, they could opt out of things that don't.
well, not
just
usually, it would
fit
just,
every,
yeah.
I
it
mean, we
would-
don't always fit into the niche that they
Yeah.
want to.
And that was the message that the state heard loud and clear as they've been going through this process around the new solar siting rules. They heard, especially the smaller counties, saying, hey, you push us into a box and we're forced into your rules. However, for whatever reason, it's hard for us to implement it. It could be reduced staffing, it could be, you know, not enough funds, it could be XYZ, whatever it is. Maybe that's not what our community wants, whatever it might be. And so the state did hear that loud and clear. So for this one specifically, for their new siting standards, there's that opportunity. So I did coordinate with some staff at DLCD and asked them to do a presentation, and they basically offered, you know, I talked to them and I said, what do we do in this case? And they offered to come and do a presentation. So
Wow.
we're gonna try to get that on before the end of the year, so that way we can figure out. It's not one of those things that I want clarity on is if we don't choose to opt out now, is that option gone? And it's not. So it's not like we'll do it now or you've, you know, forever hold your peace sort of thing. So there will be time to kind of mull it over and think about those things. So I'm hoping, you know, the holidays right now, between now and the end of the year gets kind of crazy, but I'm really hoping to get them before the end of the year. So.
It shuts down if it, there, you got it, if it doesn't see movement. Well, so that's probably not a bad thing, that might open the door for other opportunities like that from our.
Yeah, we'll see what,
The smaller county point of view,
yeah.
so.
So once we do that, I'll be providing some updates to you guys as well. One of the things I think we may have talked about in one of our last meetings is just a general kind of update. I don't know,
Right.
I get a little mixed up between this one and the county court update, but,
I mean,
well,
just even at once a month, it'd be great if you could just like jot out what it is that you've been kind of working on and just send us all a quick email. I know I would appreciate that.
so, the county court about every quarter, I was on leave for some time earlier this year.
Yeah.
But, our intent is every quarter to have a written update, and then I come in from the county court, so I'll make sure to send that to you guys as well. And I can't remember if I had updated you the last time we spoke about a year ago. FEMA was requiring it required all the counties to determine which pathway they were going to take as far as permitting based on the regulations around the biop and salmonoid habitats and the lawsuit that they're up against now. Gilliam County opted to do a permit by permit. So there, you either went permit by permit, you did nothing, or you did a model code. Well, we said, you know what, we're not ready to implement the model code. After reviewing it when it was sent out, we said, these really aren't clear and objective standards. And I felt when I read it that it put too much on the back of the applicant anyways. So it was, you know, why not just go the permit by permit? So that was the avenue that the county court agreed to choosing. So that was what we selected. And FEMA has now come back and said that permit by permit will no longer be an option. So we will be looking at what we're going to implement into our code. So watch for that in the next few months as well. So I think that's gonna about cover it.
Anybody have anything?
Same thing.
What?
City did the same thing, Arlington.
There is a,
So potentially it's going away for the cities and the county.
yeah, I was surprised. I was at a conference last week or the week before, and they did a presentation for us and they talked about it. And I think all of us at the table were really surprised to find out that the permit by permit will not be an option. Because you could choose to go that avenue, but if you did nothing, they defaulted you to permit by permit anyway. So it was kind of funny that they said, by default, here's what you will be if you don't do anything. But now they're saying, well, you can't do that anymore. So, we will be evaluating what goes into the code. So. Yeah.
They're hoping they'll use their code.
It is, and I think the really frustrating part about it is it's ongoing litigation. So they are implementing something when FEMA is still being faced with this lawsuit. And so there's a good chance that things will probably change again anyways. So fortunately, for much of the unincorporated portions of the county, there's not a whole lot of development that happens within our flood zones. So I think this will probably impact the two cities more than it will the unincorporated area. So I did recently reach out to the city recorder, I think is her title here at Arlington.
Yeah.
Vicky,
Vicky.
finally had an opportunity to connect with her and kind of discuss some ongoing things. We talked about the incoming Amazon and those sorts of things. I think one of the things that I would like to have further conversation with her about and possibly pull our county court in and say, what are your thoughts behind this would be some sort of housing needs or housing capacity analysis and trying to see the direction. Yeah, some of those things I
Jed probably knows that. When was the last time a housing study was done in Arlington? You know, for Arlington?
I think about that, Julius is reminding me of,
Yes.
I know that in 2017 as well, housing.
We just one, the county did one right on my eye, and that's a super general, so that's cool.
Oh, wow, okay.
yeah, and that's what Vicky was talking a little bit about that, and she thought it would be a great opportunity. So I think it'd be an opportunity for all of the unincorporated area and the cities to work together, and hopefully we can all accomplish it and be on the same timeline. So.
So speaking of the unincorporated areas, in your estimation, has some of those land use laws in terms of being able to build or divide, have those been lessened? Have they been loosened up? It used to be pretty strict, but then they talked about making a change from on the east side of the state because they wanted to encourage more population, that sort of thing, and so where people could build. Has that changed?
No, it hasn't really. Tracking some legislation right now. I have later on this week, I have a meeting about everything that passed, but none of it really, I mean, there's this huge push for affordable housing and how do we bring housing in and all those things, but really no change from the farm side of it. A lot of it talks about the urban areas, metro areas, and those sorts of things, but really nothing. The big fight this year around exclusive farm use was around agritourism. They were trying to come down and really regulate some of the stuff around agritourism, and most of the folks that it impacted their communities, they spoke out and said, no, we don't like that. That feels like you're really putting a stranglehold on us, so, that kind of, it didn't go away. I'm sure it will come back and it will be revisited, but for right now, it went away. So there was a lot of focus on that, which kind of took away from any other things in the exclusive farm use zone, so.
Yeah, yeah, I mean, that was for a while, that was gonna be it, they were gonna loosen those regulations so that, somebody could split off, 20 acres or something and build a house and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Off of an EFU.
No, it's 160 and
Mm.
I don't really foresee much of that changing. We'll see though, because they keep pushing the housing, so,
Right, right, and that's what it was all connected to, was the
Yeah.
housing. I
right,
mean, that was a direct
yeah,
connection, was because of the housing, let's make this change to our land use so that we can enable people to get a smaller chunk and that the ranchers can divide it up a little bit better or something, so.
yeah.
Of course, never easy, nothing's ever easy.
How often are we supposed to update our transportation system?
That's a good question.
It's almost 20.
We can add that to our list of things to look at. I don't know that there's any sort of requirement. I'd have to look at it and see what the life of the plant. Okay. So
But our. No.
I do still need to wrap my head around a lot of the plans that have been implemented and where we're at as far as timelines for those go, so. Our development code and our comprehensive plan, I think, as far as I can tell, the ones that I've looked at so far are the most recently updated, so.
The TSP probably not that.
It is. It is. Okay, so made myself a note to look at the TSP for updates.
Okay. Anything else? Jed, Brad?
No,
Les?
no public comment.
No public comment? Guess we've been publicly commenting.
Let's make sure I got my date right here since I screwed up on the date. This new calendar I have, the way that it's lined out, every once in a while I look at it and it's not your typical Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, so then I end up a day off. So should be Tuesday, October 28th. And that looks to be the correct next date that we are
Okay.
regularly scheduled meeting, so.
And will that be here or is it going to be we used to do back and forth, Condon and Arlington.
So I guess that is a question, for you guys. What would you like to do?
It's just gonna. Sorry.
So there will be a hearing. It will be the conditional use permit,
Waste management. So I'll be here.
okay,
Yeah, that's kind of what we had done, we did before, was that if it was about a
okay,
north end, we would have it in the north end.
okay,
And then if there wasn't really anything specific, then we tried to do kind of every other,
okay. So we will plan for
Right.
that one to be in Arlington.
yeah.
Okay. And 6 PM, is that usually the time?
Well, we kind of put it at 6, I think, when I was working,
Okay,
and, now that I'm retired, but Gib works,
Yeah, but I'm
that's
off.
a farmer,
I can, yeah, night like this works for me.
6 o'clock works, or would 5:30 work better?
It just afternoon like this works for me.
So it
It doesn't have to be,
5:30 is work better, because during the winter I can often for.
Okay,
okay,
Come to yourself.
okay, 5:30 is okay with me,
okay.
so.
That
We
works
used to
for
do
me
it
too.
A little early, yeah, we did it early or later because of me, but we don't have to do that anymore,
Okay,
so.
we'll plan on that.
And read.
Anything else?
Okay, so anything else?
I have nothing.
Okay, meeting's adjourned.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Sorry, that was kind of